Well, good morning, good evening, or good afternoon to wherever you may be in the world, and welcome back to the W1 Sim Series. We're here for round 2 for the Japanese Grand Prix, and a round that I'm sure will excite the drivers on the grid. As you can see, it's just myself, Tom Knight, for the time being. We are awaiting Karl Paranek to come join us in the commentary box, and he won't be more than a few minutes, I assure you that. But do not worry, our standard of broadcast will not drop as ever. It's lovely to see everybody in the Twitch chat, I must say, and of course the YouTube chat as well. Do keep coming in saying hello, and then we will get ready to go racing. 14 drivers on the grid for today's session. Of course, 27 laps around Suzuka, and that is certainly one that is going to test our drivers' limits, and one will only become the winner. Before we go into everything and get ourselves into qualifying though, let's have a brief look at how our calendar looks for the rest of the season, and you can see it on your screens now. We're at round 2 for Japan. Next time out we head to Bahrain for the international circuit layout, 22nd of January for round number 3, with round 4 coming to Austria and the Styrian Hills on the 29th of January. Round 5, our halfway point takes us to Silverstone, the home of Grand Prix racing, for round 5 on the 5th of February. And then the 12th, we head to Stavelot, the Belgian Grand Prix for round number 6, before heading to the Temple of Speed itself for the Monza and the Italian Grand Prix. Round 8 takes us to the Middle East for the Qatar Grand Prix on the 26th of February, before our final 2 rounds being Abu Dhabi and Brazil on the 5th of March and the 12th of March respectively for rounds 9 and rounds 10. What a fantastic calendar we have got in store for ourselves and our drivers this season, and one that I'm sure you are looking forward to back at home as well. And just before we get into one final thing, let's have a look at how our standings look after the first round. And of course, it's Lee Woodward that stands atop the podium with 26 points to their name after not only winning, but of course securing fastest lap at the final time of asking there. We have got Rebecca Morel second, Catherine Thiel-King stands third with Catherine Omerod in 4th place. Emma Clay stands in 5th place after what could have been a fantastic drive. If you saw her pull off the line, it was absolutely fantastic. Couldn't quite though hold the bee's knees as the race endurance went on down in Australia, with Jess Ball, Katrina Edmonds, Melissa Muller, Nicole Matua and Miss Nutrix rounding out your top 10, with Mayuki Panda, Sarah Hardy, Melanie Janda, Martine Smith, Annie Crevice, your point scorers from Australia. And of course, your 16th down to 20th being Willow Keeble, Carlotta Marchi, Farah Zorgui, Heather and Jen Turner as well, your top 20. But I can announce for the first time, and this is very exciting, ladies and gentlemen, that it's not just me in the commentary box here this afternoon. We have got the one, the only, Mr. Karl Paranek, who is also here to come and join us. It's fantastic to see your face, Karl, and you are still on me. There we go. We've got him in the building, everybody. Karl, how are we?
I'm excellent. I'm really excellent. I made it. I battled the weather, tried to dampen my spirits, but you know what? What better way to send spirits soaring than the land of the rising sun? It's Suzuka. Need we say any more? It's going to be excellent.
It absolutely is. What a track. What a historic track as well. And of course, who can really talk about Suzuka apart from that? I would want to call it a staircase pit lane. It's going to be one of those that causes a bit of confusion for the drivers as they're umping and bumping around on the circuit, but nonetheless one that is going to be a thriller of a race.
I completely agree with you, and I would invariably say at this point, it's Suzuka. It shouldn't really have many overtaking opportunities. You've just got that one DRS zone at the start, finish straight. Other than that, it's the run past 130R. If you get a decent run out of Spoon Curve, you've got a chance into the Casio Triangle, which I will stress doesn't look like a triangle. We'll ignore that though. But we saw last week, they were not scared at all to put on a show. They were brave and they were bold beyond the call of duty. Think Lee Woodward, in my opinion, had not only 1 but 2 moves of the race in consecutive fashion at the chicane and also at the right-hander just afterwards. Like, they're not frightened at all, and it's excellent to see. But look at this, we've got qualifying on our hands.
We absolutely do. Here we go then, everybody. Get ready for qualifying. It's coming your way as drivers are going out for their initial outlaps. It will be the McLaren of Shark Storm, aka Lee Woodward, of course, the driver that tops our standings at the moment, that takes to the track for the first time, and will try and set the fastest lap time or the banker lap time for everybody else to try and match on the run down towards 130R. Now, the infamous 130R, Karl, a corner that not only you don't want to go go side by side with another driver, but it sets you up for what can be a fantastic move into the Casio Triangle.
Or a fantastic move into 130R if your name is Fernando Alonso or Charles Leclerc in recent times gone by. It really is one of those absolute heart-stopping corners. Absolutely breathtaking all the way through. But our first contender to cross the line to go for a little reconnaissance lap of the Suzuka circuit, it is our championship leader, our race winner. It was a week of many firsts last week. It was the first winner. We crowned our first pole sitter, but it was the first race of W1, and what an absolute honour and a privilege it is to be back. From my perspective personally, it is an absolute honour to be back in this commentary box, and we get to do it all over again, starting with qualifying.
We certainly do indeed. Navigating the S's rather skillfully into the first and second deck. A little touch into the grass and the gravel at the exit of the first, but nothing necessarily to write home about at the moment. Brief yellow flag in the first sector, as I believe that is going to be the Mercedes of Farah Zorgui, just having a bit of a overcorrection, let's put it that way, at the tail end of the S's, but we'll jump back swiftly to Sharkdom Lee Woodward as they head in towards Spoon Curve, the long elongated left-hander, which is a really difficult corner to get right, Carl. It's one that it screams at you to have a late apex, although every bone in your body is telling you to ignore that completely.
You've hit the nail on the head, absolutely. That first part, you can send so much speed into it. You can trust the aerodynamics of the car. It's that second part where it feels so unbelievably lazy, but it's all a slingshot coming up to this bit. Again, a billow of smoke as Lee Woodward locks up the front tyres, trying to push every single morsel of the McLaren. Across the line they go. And it's a 127.8, a decent little banker to kick us off.
That it absolutely is. Next driver across the line, Jess Ball sets a 128.7 for Team Red Bull Racing, using the beautiful white ball that is running down towards turn one at the moment. Next across the line, the Mercedes of Farah Zorgui after that slight earlier spin. No, into the pit she comes, which means it will be the Ferrari of Melanie Jander to cross the line next time. It goes third fastest to 32.6, leaving some room for improvement here.
Yeah, absolutely. Not the most representative time. Catherine Ormerod, though, showing up with a 128.2. Teeny across the line, a 130.781. I was going to highlight, firstly, this S's section. You can carry so much speed, have to avoid the curbs as much as possible, as Heather slots into P5 for the time being. It's Degna 1, though. It's where Lee Woodward made the mistake. Probably about 3/10 on the table just in that corner, but if you clip that curb just a tiny bit too much, you are spat out horrendously into the gravel. So keep a close eye out for that. Melissa, though, a 128.4. Not a bad start.
Not at all. And of course, the Williams of Teeny, also known as Martine Smith, coming across the line as well to set a fifth fastest time, a 130.7. Now, just bear in mind, these are still just the banker runs. The times to get to Delta, we will see those improvements come fast and far between as we run up towards that inevitable qualifying end of the session, the full 18 minutes after they have amassed, and yellow flags in the second sector continuing to fly. We'll watch on board as Miss Nutrix comes around the corner now. Where can she go? It's going to be sixth fastest at 29.7, just a second or so off the back of Jessica Ball on this time of asking. Again, still time to find for all of our drivers.
Absolutely. Miss Nutrix, keep an eye on Miss Nutrix. I felt she was a little bit unlucky last week in Australia. Has a little bit of a point to prove here in Suzuka, but it is the speed queen. It's Rebecca Morel, the closest challenger once again to Lee Woodward. Those two interlocked in combat, and it all starts here in qualifying. Here's another one, though, that I felt like maybe didn't extract the most out of the Australian weekend. Has a chance to put that right, and that is Emma Clay. Had searing pace in the pre-season, was really the pre-season superstar in the social races. Now has a great chance here in Suzuka to put an absolutely spellbinding show on. But again, it's Degna 1. It's an invalidation. And I said, watch out for that corner. And Emma Clay once again proving it is a bit of a bugbear.
It absolutely is a really difficult corner to get right, especially when you're trying to give it absolutely everything on a qualifying run, because you want to try and throw the car in, hope it grips down, and pray that all the aerodynamics that this car has grips it to the circuit. And sometimes, just sometimes, that car says, nope, not today, I'm not going to hold on to the circuit, and into the grass and gravel that awaits you on the exit of that curb. It's such a difficult one to get right, but I'm sure Emma Clay still has at least a couple more runs in her and the opportunity to try and challenge for provisional pole position. And speaking of provisional pole position at the moment, let's see who you're predicting with just over 11 minutes to go in our qualifying session. Let us know in the live chat down below, whether you're watching on Twitch or whether you are watching on YouTube. Let us know who you think is going to take that top spot at the end of the session.
Ashley Eleanor's confident. Emma Clay at the top of their list for the pole position at the end of this session. Into the pits they retreat for the time being. It is hello, though. Willow Keeble. Welcome to the fray. That's P2. That's only, it's 100th ahead of what Rebecca Morel has managed to do. But even so, nothing to turn your snout up at. That's a great first time on the board. And even more challenges appearing to try and challenge that McLaren. But if they get Degner 1 right, Lee Woodward might have a absolute corker of a time on their hands.
They absolutely will. Lots still to try and discover for our drivers. Lots still to get right, I feel, as well, as they're just finding their feet here in Japan. Watching on board with Farah Zorgui as they come round Spoon Curve. A little bit of, well, experimentation with the track limit, shall we say. Keeping it legal, though, that's the all-important thing as they run down towards 130R. Let's keep an eye on the live speed, though. 195 miles an hour as they come into that fast and furious left-hander into the heavy braking zone of the Casio Triangle, all the way down to 57 miles an hour and straight back on the power as they run round towards the timing beam. Where are they going to be able to put their Mercedes at this time of asking? 5th fastest for the Mercedes.
Nicely done by Farah Zorgui. Kept it clean, kept it together, and that is reaping the benefits of it. Up to 5th place they go. And, well, fundamentally, looking at the times, there's only 6 tenths between 2nd place and 7th place, and that's only banker times. There is more confidence to find. There is more time to extract all the way through the track. And we're just going to see it unfold in front of our very eyes. What we are seeing, though, is Lee Woodward starting yet another lap, but they've already invalidated going through that first turn.
We say it's a tough one to get right, especially as you have to set yourself up for this series of corners, the S's, as they're so famously called. You want to come out of that long right-hander, and you want to try and put the power down, but you've got to mentally prepare to have a little dab on the brakes, throw the car in left, throw the car right, and repeat that 2 or 3 times. It's such a mentally taxing series of corners to get right, especially so early on in the lap. It's one of these tracks that you can make or break a lap so early on.
Couldn't agree more with you. We've also got Setar Elvin and Jen in the Twitch chat saying Degner might be one of the hardest corners on the calendar to get right. And, well, I mean, first Degner, like I said, you want to carry so much speed. You can carry it full throttle if you want to. I think Emma Clay was just pushing it right to the ragged edge. The green machine looking for lean, mean findings, and it was just not to be. The car would not comply. But it's all just a patient game, almost in a way. You can't turn in too early because you bounce over the curb, you spat out into the gravel. If you try and take the apex too late, you just push yourself off into the sandbox. Let's see if Melissa can get it right. Clips the curb into purple sector 1, and that there is exemplary. Looks simple, so difficult to execute.
That was perfection personified for the Kick Sauber as they ran through both Degner curves and now through hairpin. Again, masterful approach from the Sauber itself in towards Spoon, and just a couple more corners to try and navigate here at Suzuka to try and challenge for that top spot. They're just over 0.6 of a second away from provisional pole position. Yellow flags briefly flying in that first sector. One of the Aston Martins just going slowly through the opening corner. But let's see what Melissa can do as they run up towards that timing beam in the second sector. They're improving by 1.5 tenths here, Carl. So far, that'll put them up to 5th place. But how much time can they try and gain through the Casio Triangle? Melissa Muller in towards the final section of corners. It's so important to get this right. And now powering down towards the line. Where can the Sauber go as it crosses the line? Improves by 2.5 tenths. 5th place for Muller.
Yeah, very good effort again. Still even time on the table there. Just got to hold it in as close to the wall at the end as possible. While all that's happened, Catherine Ormerod has made it an Alpine 2-3. A 128.0. And while Lee Woodward couldn't get in a second lap, Catherine Ormerod absolutely could. And what a world of brilliance that could do for their confidence in this session. Speaking of confidence, here's someone who needs to ramp it up.
Absolutely. See Perkins across the line as well, setting the first lap time for Charlotte Perkins. The teammate of Melissa Muller, both Sabers now 5th and 6th respectively, making a close challenge to Alpine that sit comfortably in 2nd and 3rd. But let's talk about Clay for a moment. Comes through the Casio triangle down towards the line, looking like a good run so far. Puts that Aston Martin 3rd, and with time to find, with Emma Clay surely now in contention for pole position.
That's more like the Emma Clay we know. That's exactly what we wanted to see. Got it right that time, and now she can build the confidence. But Rebecca Morel has absolutely obliterated provisional pole. 127.4. That is a show-stopping lap from Rebecca Morel.
Wow, absolutely fantastic. Rebecca Morel, and as you said last week, Speed Queen by name, Speed Queen by nature, putting that Red Bull up to first place and with 4/10 advantage over Lee Woodward at the moment. But of course, there is still 5 minutes, well, over 5 minutes left in this qualifying session. Ample opportunity for someone to come along and try and steal that crown away. We're trying to keep an eye on who that possibly could be. Let's switch over to Miss Nutrix as she comes around the final corner, can improve and does so by over a second, puts herself 9th place with a 128.453. Team Aston Martin now stand 4th and 9th, looking for an improvement from what we saw in Australia.
And the timing, the margins getting even more compressed. 3rd down to 10th place, just over 6/10 of a second separating it. Meanwhile, Carlotta in the Ferrari, away they go. A 131.2 at the moment is where they sit on the timing tree, but there's plenty of improvement to find. Almost a second already. Full foot flat to the floor stuff. Through 130 art, you break at 100 meters. You want to really take as much of the curbs as you possibly can. Still leaving a bit of time on the table with 5 minutes to go. There will still be time for another lap. For Carlotta, across the line they go. It is a whisker away from a 129, but a very, very solid improvement indeed.
Very much so. Let's switch over to Willow Keeble then, heading through the second sector, improving by 33 thousandths of a second in that opening sector alone. Can they make improvements in the second? We'll find out in the next couple of seconds. They come across the timing beam. No, they've actually gone the opposite direction through that second sector. Maybe time to find in the third for the Alpine car that stands 5th. Her teammate up in second, Catherine Omerod. But can Keeble now try and challenge not only her teammate but potentially provisional pole position? Comes around the corner, decides to back out of that lap at the very last moment. Carl maybe just had a quick glimpse of the clock and realised they might not get the final run that they would like in.
Yeah, also washed wide at the first part of the Casio triangle. The front end just would not bite into the apex. Farah Zorgui, though, is finding time in that Silver Arrows car, and can they get the chicane right as Lee Woodward takes back provisional pole position for the time being. Just under 2/10 the gap out in front. It's game on for pole position. Farah Zorgui only improves by 22 thousandths, but crucially, it is still an improvement.
Absolutely is. Woodward once again back to the top of your timing tower on the left-hand side of your screens. 127.288, putting herself 197 thousandths per second quicker than Rebecca Morel could go last time around. Splitting purple sectors left, right and centre. I don't think anybody is going to be able to predict which way this is going to go at this moment in time. Carlotta Marchi in towards the pits then for preparation for one final run. We see the car of Charlotte Perkins just going slowly in towards the second Degner curve, allowing, I believe, the Mercedes to just swoop on past. Great sportsmanship we're seeing displayed once again by our drivers.
Absolutely. Could not agree more with you one bit, but really we're getting into that crunch time period as well. Nearly 3 minutes to go. Can't see it because there's yellow flags as the McLaren of Lee Woodward gets out of the way of the Ferrari of, I believe that to be Melanie Jander. It has to be, because the other one, of course, of Carlotta peeled into the pit lane. Heather, though, is going to cross the line and start another flying lap in this session. But it all comes down to this final section. The track is at its absolute best. You found all the confidence you possibly can, and now you really have to throw caution to the wind. And it is going to be a firecracker finish to a cutthroat qualifying.
It absolutely is. I've been told if this all goes wrong for Heather, we can blame her engineer, Safso. He'll probably kill me for saying that live on air, but you know what? I blame Safso. Let's keep an eye, though, for the time being on Heather, down towards the 2 Degner curve. She said on her stream this week that it has been a bit of a nemesis, especially trying to get that braking point right. Does well, though, to navigate the opening 2 on this sector in towards hairpin. They go. Let's keep an eye and see how this goes. Another tricky corner to get right. You want to just go down the gears, and incredible to watch from Heather there, staying in third gear, wanting that stability over maybe finding half a tenth or so. It's the balance and the probability that you have to sometimes weigh up here in Suzuka.
Absolutely, for sure, but it's also that battery management I'm crucially keeping an eye on as well. About 35%, you want as much as you can in the reservoir, because now you burn it. Absolutely plummet the Duracell Bunny into oblivion as you go towards 130R, immediately switching off that overtake button. Want to preserve some for that final dash after the Casio triangle. That could make the difference between the top 10 or maybe before or maybe even towards the front of the field. Clean and composed through the Casio triangle. Hold it nice and narrow. Heverox for the wider line. As she crosses the line, a second's worth of an improvement. It is only up one place, but crucially, a good improvement nonetheless.
Any improvement's a good improvement when it comes to qualifying, of course. This only does determine your starting order for the main race. 27 laps, of course, still to come for all of our drivers here. And as it stands, you're talking about the track temperature, how much it has ramped up. We're currently at 21 degrees on the ground. It's only 15 degrees in the air, so just enough for a light coat or maybe a t-shirt if you're feeling brave enough. But our drivers, I can almost guarantee, will be feeling the heat from the asphalt beneath them as it radiates up. The Sauber there just getting out the way of Catherine Omerod as they run down towards 130R now. Let's see if they can improve from the current third place. Looking to try and put a march on Lee Woodward, who still stands atop with 30 seconds to go in our qualifying.
Purple sector 2 for Catherine Ormerod. She's going to have the final sector of her life in order to challenge for pole position, but it should be in the 127s, much more composed and attacking the curbs aggressively through the Casio triangle, as narrow as you dare. It's into the 127s for Catherine Ormerod, a 27.889, but still nowhere near challenging for that pole position. It all comes down to Rebecca Morel, though. Lee Woodward, all the aces up their sleeve, they have been put on the table. It's all down to the white ball at this Japanese Grand Prix. And Emma Clay's going fastest in Sector 2 here.
She is. Purple in the second sector is Clay now in towards the Casio triangle. Found half a second. Might not be enough to try and de-topple Woodward. Can they find what they need in third and final sector? Runs towards the line. Clay not on this time of asking. It didn't quite set well enough for her. She'll stick to third. Heather gets disqualified for parking in a dangerous location, but keep an eye on Rebecca Morel. Started from pole this time last week. Can she try and take pole position once again? She needs just under 0.2 of a second. Speed Queen by name. Is she Speed Queen by nature? Of course she is. Rebecca Morel taking top spot once again.
Heavy the head that wears the crown. She wasn't ready to let it go yet. Pole position by just over 1/10 of a second. The track was at its best. The driver was at their best too. It's everything they deserve. A massive lap at the end of qualifying for the Red Bull. A minor improvement for Carlotta in the Ferrari. Just Charlotte Perkins in the Sauber. Catherine Ormerod going to peel into the pit lane. All their efforts have been done. Miss Nutrix has moved up to the second row as well. A great lap from them. 0.7 of an improvement. Where does Perkins go? Just overthrows Melissa Muller, their teammate, for P7. It's almost 2x2. Noah's Ark as you go down. But the Speed Queen reigns supreme.
She absolutely does. And let's talk about fastest sectors for a moment. Sector 1, Rebecca Morel. Sector 2, Willow Keeble down in 6th place, who was the fastest in that second. Third and fastest sector goes to Emma Clay. So 3 different drivers choosing an individual sector each to become the fastest over the course of this lap. So that just shows you that A, there was time left on the table, I believe, but also just how varying this sector is depending on setup, depending on driving style. But Speed Queen, once again, tops the timing tower for a second week in a row.
Couldn't convert it last week. There's a chance to put it right. So nice she's done it twice, though. Rebecca Morel is your pole sitter for round 2 of W1 Sim Series. Lee Woodward is P2 with Emma Clay and Miss Nutrix making it an all Aston Martin second row. Catherine Ormerod in P5, Willow Keeble in P6, with Charlotte Perkins P7, Melissa Muller in P8, Farah Zorgui and Jessica Ball round out the top 10. Carlotta Teeny, that's Martine Smith, Melanie Jander and Heather round out our grid for this Japanese Grand Prix, at least in qualifying terms. What a session once again. Another blockbuster for us.
Absolutely. These ladies putting on one heck of a performance for us, I must admit. I don't think I've seen qualifying this exciting for a very, very long time. And wow, literally at the final time of asking, Speed Queen once again coming through and proving what a fantastic driver she can well and truly be. Now, as we always have, we've got a little bit of a lobby reset for everybody at home, but do not fear, the stream's not going anywhere, because we've got some more information just to run past you and keep you up to date with. First things first though, let's go ahead and have a look. I know we've seen them on track already. Let's just have a quick run through of our drivers and our team lineups for this afternoon. So we've got Willow Keeble in the Alpine, joined once again by the reservist of Catherine Omerod. She steps in for a second week in Alpine as that reservist. It's Aston Martin, Emma Clay and Miss Nutrix. What a fantastic partnership that's been over the last race and a half so far, with Melanie Jander and Carlotta Marchi stepping in for the Scuderia Ferrari team. Lee Woodward's alone down at McLaren. No teammate this week, but hopefully, again, that could mean no double stack opportunities for them as they head into the main race situation. Mercedes, it's Heather and Farah Zorgri. Again, a good lineup looking to improve on what we saw last week. And as again, I think both have been practicing hard and long over the course of this week. No one stands in for the VCARB team. With Red Bull occupied once again by Rebecca Morel, 2 times pole sitter now in our main season proper for W1 Sim Series, with Jess Ball as well stepping in to that second, somewhat haunted second Red Bull seat. Melissa Muller and Charlotte Perkins step in to kick Sauber, with Martine Smith stepping in for Team Williams here this afternoon. Again, Carl, a fantastic lineup of drivers, and one that, again, you can't predict which way this is going to go.
Absolutely, you can't. We've got 27 laps of Japan, of course, to sort out that particular conundrum, but you just can't tell. You really cannot. I mean, when we look at what happened last week, it was tantalisingly close in the first part, and then Lee Woodward sort of came into a bit of their own. VSC helped them out. Tyres were screaming, they were stressed, but still, they kept it on the road, didn't get any more penalties. They managed to cross the line first, but Rebecca Morel was scarily quick, particularly towards the end of that race. Japan, not as much of a bugbear in terms of tyres. It's pretty easy one stop without safety cars. Without, just to be quite clear. It's usually medium and hard, and you're absolutely fine. There shouldn't be any issues there. But you just never know. You can never, ever put it to chance. And I think we've got probably 6 drivers right at the front of the field immediately that you can throw straight into the conversation for the win today.
Absolutely. Those drivers, I think almost everybody could have a chance at taking home a win, if not a podium here this afternoon. And who knows, sometimes Suzuka throws maybe a little bit of carnage and chaos into the mix with weather. We've seen downpours and lashings of rain at Suzuka before, as we've seen very, very dry races as well. So one to keep an eye on for all of our drivers. But Carl, while now we've got you here, why don't you take us through our driver standings as it came after round 1? Just have a brief look at how they line up.
Driver standings, ladies and gentlemen. The McLaren Maestro, Lee Woodward, 26 points, courtesy of the win and fastest lap. You will see points are awarded down to 15th place. We're a league of many opportunities, because Rebecca Morel in second place took home 22 points. They are the chaser, but they do have another pole position. Can they convert it? That remains to be seen. Catherine Thiel-King was P3, depends on how it goes this week, with 20 points. Catherine Ormerod with 18 points. Emma Clay in 5th place with Jessica Ball, Katrina Edmonds, Melissa Muller, Nicole Machuca, and Miss Nutrix rounding out your top 10. After that, Miyuki Panda in 11th place, Sarah Hardy, Melanie Jander, Martine Smith and Annie Crevice are the remaining drivers to have scored points so far, with Willow Keeble, Carlotta Marchi, Farah Zorgui, Heather and Jen rounding out our drivers' standings so far. And that's only after 1 round. Of course, the standings don't tell the full story. Many drivers got lucky, others got desperately unlucky, given penalties and safety car shenanigans. But round 2 looks to put that all right for some drivers and maybe deal a rather unkind hand to others. That's the beauty of motorsport. You just never know what's going to happen.
You're absolutely right. And it's worth noting we've had a couple of drivers that have had to step away today for various reasons. I know a couple, Nicole Matua, who would love to be with us today, and as she so lovingly described, has got self-inflicted stab wounds in her calf. Now, if you want to hear the story about that, there was something to do with a mattress and a box cutter ending up in the wrong place. I'll leave the rest to your imaginations. And of course, our thoughts, prayers, wishes are with Annie Crevice as well, I believe recovering from her surgery. We wish her all the best and hopefully look to see her on the grid next week as we go racing. And again, what a perfect little, well, what's the word? Segue to our calendar. Let's have a quick look at how that lines up for our season. And here it is then. Bahrain will be our next round. Round number 3 on the 22nd of January, with Austria being round 4, the home of Grand Prix racing on round 5. Carl, why don't you take us through 6 through 10?
Absolutely. Round 6, it's Spa-Francorchamps. I don't really need to elaborate, but then I don't need to elaborate on the next track either. The Temple of Speed, the Italian Grand Prix. We then head to Losail, traditionally a bikes track. Not anymore. We switched 2 wheels for 4. We're heading to Qatar. Round number 9, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix, home to, well, at least one blockbuster finale throughout history. We'll look to make it more. But it's not the finale, of course. Where better place to go for a season finale for that crucial final stanza than the Brazilian Grand Prix? It is a wonderful calendar, and we've got to say again, the drivers voted on this. They had their input in terms of what tracks they wanted on the calendar, and let's put it this way, they've chosen very damn well.
They absolutely have, and I must admit, it was an anonymous poll. They were given a form, given all 24 tracks, plus the 3 reverse tracks that are in F1 25, and told which ones do you want to see. They were given unlimited voting options, and then the polls were collated right at the end, and those 10 tracks, and I promise there was no funky business from the admin team, those 10 tracks were the ones that the drivers chose. We then decided to run them in season proper order, with one change here and there, Australia to kick us off, and of course Brazil being the season closer, as it always should be. And of course, whilst we're here just having this brief lobby reset, why not check out Sim Racing Centre, I believe !SRC in the Twitch chat. You can get yourselves some good setups and strategies, and of course they are a very well, we're very grateful to have them as a partner of the league, aren't we, Carl?
Absolutely we are. No, it's a wonderful thing. A massive thank you to them for partnering this league. There's your mascot. But also, it's just a wonderful thing to be a part of as well. I mean, it's a wonderful opportunity for all of these women to get out on the same bit of bitumen, fight it out, see who is the fastest one. It's a wonderful space and a wonderful opportunity for them to be able to do that. Thank you, by the way, everyone, for all the support throughout not only race 1, but also so far during race 2. We are extremely grateful, and we're glad we can have you along for the journey. But soon enough, it will be racing action. And you know what? I'll pose a question to you, Mr. TK, and that is, who do you predict will be our race winner today?
Ah, it's a really tough one, and I hate when people ask me that question right at the start, because I'm like, it could be so many different drivers. I mean, if you look at what happened last time out, Lee Woodward, fantastic drive from them to come home and secure the win. Part of me wants to go with Emma Clay. She was a fantastic driver, had a little bit of an unfortunate moment midway through the race, one that didn't necessarily, I think, reflect the driving she put in. So maybe coming back with a bit of a vengeance here in Japan. But Carl, I'll throw the question to yourself as well. Who do you think is going to have the floor, metaphorically?
You know, honestly, in my head, I had Redemption Day for Emma Clay running through it, so I'll have to say Emma Clay, to be honest with you. Like you say, I don't think she had the rub of the green last time in Australia. She's qualified on the second row. She's got a good chance once again. Put herself at the forefront. She was in amongst it for pole position. Got a good lap in at the end. And to be honest, if she can put in the race pace that she did in the social races, I can't see any reason why she can't take a win today.
Absolutely not. Of course, we've got 2 minutes waiting on the clock. Our drivers are in the lobby. I'll tell you that first and foremost. We have got 2 minutes on the clock until our drivers can ready up, making sure that setups and strategies are applied. And speaking of setups and strategies, there was no SRC command, but you can go to simracing-centre.com and check out all of the setups and strategies there. And as Penguin Victoria, who again, sadly is not a penguin, put in both the Twitch and the YouTube chat, if you want the full story, and I quote, the whole accidentally driver stabbing story, that's her words, not mine. You can join the W1 Sim Series community Discord, !Discord in the Twitch chat, or Victoria's very lovingly put a link in the YouTube chat as well. You can check that one out at your latest convenience. And there we go, Geminobo's put in the link for Sim Racing Centre as well in the YouTube chat. Absolutely fantastic. Massive shout out to our mods as well, Victoria and Les as well, and everybody else that helps behind the scenes. This literally would not happen without them.
No, absolutely right. The work that they do, I mean, like you say, you don't see it happen, but this wouldn't happen without them. They are absolutely integral. So massive shout outs to all of you. We see you, we appreciate you big time. I will also say, for Penguin Victoria's sake, while she might not be an animal, she does advocate for them. So what I will say is no Duracell bunnies are being harmed during the making of this broadcast, just to be quite clear. but we have a formation lap, and we have some strategies to discover, and we have our second winner ever of W1 Sim Series action to find out soon.
We certainly do indeed. Tyres up on your screens then. 2 drivers opting for the soft tyres. Rebecca Morel, aka Speed Queen. And, of course, Miss Nutrix opting for the softer tyres, and Team Aston Martin starting 4th place, just behind her teammate Emma Clay. It's Lee Woodward that's gone a little bit left field this time around, opting for the hard tyres to start their race on, with everybody else, and I mean literally everybody else, 11 drivers opting for the medium tyres here. Carl, where are you standing? What would be your strategy in this situation?
Not soft. It's the strategy I would normally do. I'm surprised they put on the soft tyres. Whether they think there's going to be an early safety car or an early stoppage that allows them to open up a one-stop with soft tyres, or to execute a different strategy entirely, who knows? Usually, I would say I'd probably go for mediums at the start of a dry race. Looks like it's going to be completely bone dry, and that's what the game says. 2-stop strategy, 2 mediums and a soft, or 1 medium and 2 softs. You can do that one stop though, hence why pretty much everybody else, including Sharkstorm, has either started on the mediums or the hards. That's the one I'd usually choose, but who knows? I'm willing to be surprised. That's exactly what we're here for.
You're absolutely right. I've just had it pointed out to me in the Twitch chat as well. It's very satisfying that it goes RB, RB. Wait, hold on. No, it doesn't. Oh, from the bottom to the top, maybe? I think Rio's chatting stuff here, because it goes Aston Martin, Aston Martin, Alpine, Alpine, Sauber, Sauber. That's close enough. I don't know what Rio was discussing there, but he's completely had me on one. But it's Speed Queen that leads our drivers around. Just a reminder, if you are just tuning in, my name's Tom Knight. Carl Paranik is alongside me in the commentary box here this afternoon, and do not fear, we are hoping that Mr. Morgan will return from his darts duties at some point in this season. When that is good a guess, yours or mine. He'll probably be in the live chat at some point here this afternoon. Let us know in the live chat what your predictions are for the race winner then this afternoon. It's going to be an interesting one to see how our drivers fare. 27 laps here at Suzuka to come as Heather pulls up in towards her grid spot at the back of the field. Rebecca Morel leads from Lee Woodward. Emma Clay and Miss Nutrix in the mix as we get ready to go racing.
Here we go. 5 red lights for the Japanese Grand Prix. Fasten your seatbelts. It's round 2 of W1. It's lights out. And away we go. And Lee Woodward has not moved off the line. They've completely missed the start. It's Rebecca Morel who scorches off the starting blocks. And Emma Clay moves up to P2. Charlotte Perkins, what a start. P7 to P3 in an instant, but Lee Woodward with the worst possible start to this Suzuka Slobberknocker down to P11. It's Speed Queen Rebecca Morel by name and by nature in P1, already a second ahead of Emma Clay. Charlotte Perkins up to P3 from P7, and then it's Alpine and another Aston Martin to round out the top 5.
4 positions in 1 corner. Absolutely incredible from Charlotte Perkins there. Rebecca Morel leads in towards the hairpin corner. All of our drivers still close in tow. Melissa Muller on the back of Miss Nutrix dropped a position down to P5. Emma Clay, of course, took advantage of Lee Woodward not necessarily having the best of race starts. We see side-by-side action here. Melissa not far off the back of the Aston Martin, still trying to challenge now in towards Spoon Curve, in towards the elongated left-hander. Couldn't quite get it this time around, but Woodward, oh Woodward, you've got a challenge for yourself here.
Not exactly the hard tyres that stopped them from making the progress. It was just a complete lapse in concentration, it looked like. But now, as Formula Artemis is quite rightly saying, we now might have a front row seat to an insane comeback drive, and already before 130R, it's up to P10 for the McLaren Maestro, but there's a lot of work to do. Through the Casio triangle, it's Rebecca Morel that holds the lead. Emma Clay, though, within a second, DRS enabled at the end of this lap. And, well, let battle commence. That's all I have to say.
Of course, only one DRS zone on this circuit. The detection point comes at the exit of 130R, so we will not see that rear flap open until we get on to the start-finish straight to begin lap 3 of 27. But all of our drivers still close in tow. Miss Nutrix continuing to close up that gap to Willow Keeble just in front of her. It was over 1.4 seconds, has closed it by a couple of tenths, and does continue to do so as they drive through down towards the 2 Degner curves, which we've seen cause trouble in qualifying. Oh, I wonder if we're going to see similar in the race, as Farah Zorgri has a moment of breathtaking action as that car almost went sliding into the gravel there, Carl.
Exactly, the script writes itself into the hairpin. Miss Nutrix sliding out the rear end. Another one that started on the soft tyres, but it's a second mistake in 2 laps into the hairpin. And Melissa Muller is going to gobble up that opportunity. Absolutely they will. One Sauber chasing an Aston. Here's another Sauber chasing an Aston Martin. And it is that run down to 130R. Just burning the battery a little bit, but they're going to want to save it for that DRS zone.
Absolutely. I think Clay's burning the battery to try and get away from the Sauber that is impending upon them. Omerod gets past Ball slightly further back for 8th place on the circuit. The Sauber now's got an opportunity to open the DRS, and Clay could be left stranded here. Let's pull up the battery. Let's have a look and see what Perkins is going to do. Deploying all the way on the exit of the Casio Triangle. Rear wing open as well for the Sauber. Clay could be a bit of a sitting duck here down towards turn 1, but the recharge already happening for Perkins. Happy to sit and play second fiddle, Carl.
Very, very close. Almost looked like they were in 2 minds about whether to make the move or not. Just not enough of an opportunity. Meanwhile, down the inside towards turn number 2. Holding it all the way through. That's Lee Woodward. Up into P9 now as Melanie Jander has a bit of an excursion. Just a little bit too much zest, maybe, into that first corner. It is such a pendulum effect that you have here at Suzuka in particular as Emma Clay looks to close in that second gap once again here.
Yeah, this is the moment of heart and mouth moment for Farah Zorgi. Just see that Mercedes sliding at the exit of the first Degner curve, and I think there was almost nothing she could have done about that. Drove absolute perfection to keep that car pointing in the right direction, and there was almost a moment where it couldn't have gone, but Melanie round at the exit of the second Degner curve. Are we going to see the first safety car brought out for this? As that front wing definitely missing on the Scarlet Red Ferrari. Yellow flag still flying, but race control deciding to keep the safety car in their pocket for the time being.
Yeah, that would have been get out of jail free for Rebecca Morel and Miss Nutrix, but alas, they carry on. It's interesting to see the ebb and the flow of the soft tyres as well. Emma Clay has a little bit more battery, and that, I believe, will just about be DRS enabled for the Aston Martin come the end of this lap, but they've got absolutely nothing, apparently, on the battery. Whether that's up to telemetry, no, they don't. Absolutely no electrical energy left to deploy, but the DRS will save their bacon. So this first sector and second sector at the moment is where Rebecca Morel is finding that time in the tricky, technical, twisty stuff. But once they get to that final sector, it's where the soft tyres start to scream a little bit, and that's only going to exacerbate itself as we head on through this race.
I can confirm Emma Clay does have battery in that car. It's a telemetry issue, not one that is actually affecting that Aston Martin. But we'll run through. We can keep an eye on the battery of Charlotte Perkins, though, 63% and continuing to recharge. They head through the second Degner up towards that hairpin. And I wonder if it's a case of, if not when, we see the move from Perkins to try and challenge Clay late in the inside. I don't think she was planning for going for it there. Loses a bit of front wing for the pleasure of it. But Perkins misjudging that move by the barest of margins, and that is damage to the Sauber.
Heartbreak Hotel for the Green Machine. Orange damage on the front right. It's going to feel absolutely horrible, particularly through the spoon curve. What a trial by fire that is. And after all of the scorching start that Charlotte Perkins had, it has very quickly unravelled. Once again, though, it is Emma Clay, who does have battery, making their way towards Rebecca Morel. Well within a second, once again, it will be DRS. And Rebecca Morel just going to dangle the carrot of a potential overtake at the moment. They've got the compliance and composure from the tyres through the Casio Triangle for the moment. And as long as they have the clean air, as long as they have that advantage of track position, they are going to use it and run with it all the way through.
They absolutely are. Clay continuing to try and challenge down. Speed Queen in the lead. Sharkstorm gets the move round the outside of Catherine Oberon in towards the first corner. That McLaren well and truly starting to fire up here. I wonder if those hard tyres starting to come into their own as well. But Sharkstorm Woodward, who had quite possibly one of the worst starts I think I've seen in league racing, dropping from second down to 12th place, is having the comeback of a lifetime at the moment.
Absolutely, 4 positions to the good already for our championship leader. And those hard tyres, you're quite right, they are an immensely good race tyre. Again, out of the problem zone, the 2 Degners, very quickly within DRS range, is Lee Woodward, who's got absolutely searing race pace, goes a bit wide at the hairpin, right on cue, very nice, but still within that second, and it's Miss Nutrix on the softs, who is just holding up Melissa Muller and Farah Zorgui a little bit. And that will open up the opportunity for this one right here. A bit wide at the spoon curve, though. They've got to be careful of track limits. They do not play kind, particularly through those corners.
It's easy to do, especially, I believe, on controller or in the dirty air. Mix of both, sometimes not necessarily becoming your best friend. Melissa Muller, though, well and truly in the wheel tracks of Miss Nutrix. They run in towards the Casio Triangle. I think the two lean green racing machines will try and come together here, down towards the first corner. Melissa tries to set up somewhat of a switch back here. Those soft tyres, I think, are going to be giving up in the next couple of laps, if not on this lap. DRS open for Muller, down towards the first corner. Nice and easy for the Kick Sauber. We're going to see a very similar move from Woodward behind, so too wide they go in towards the opening corner. The McLaren not quite clear of the Mercedes powered car, and still Zorgri holds on to 7th place.
That's an absolutely brilliant defence from Farah Zorgri. Well done leaving the space firstly on the inside. Credit to both drivers for doing that, for keeping it clean. That was absolutely immaculate racing from the pair of them. But look at the momentum Farah Zorgri now has. Those soft tyres, it's only been 6 laps, but Miss Nutrix is going to have an absolute horror show now throughout the rest of this stint. Melissa Muller already breaking a second. Farah Zorgri clearly with so much confidence, but down the inside goes Lee Woodward. Again, sends the McLaren absolutely stratospherically to the inside. Again, Farah Zorgri, though, sees that manoeuvre potentially unfolding. No defence that time, though. Lee Woodward burns the battery. That's up to P7. And, well, heart-in-mouth moments are occurring absolutely everywhere. And look at that for an exit. That really is a demonstration of the hard tyres versus those softs, which are screaming.
They absolutely are. We can have a quick check and see how those tyres are indeed doing. We'll hold that for a brief moment. Zorgri trying to go side by side with Nutrix. They run in towards the Casio Triangle. I'm thinking the Aston Martin may come into pits. No stops for one more lap here as they run down towards the first corner. Once again, the Mercedes trying to get the better, but keep an eye on Keeble, though, who goes flying past the Kick Sauber to take P3 away. And I think this is surely a repercussion of that front wing damage we saw to the Kick Sauber. Perkins now falling down the order faster than a lead balloon.
Absolutely right. Good move by Willow Keeble, but also keep an eye on Emma Clay. Both, we're the one that put her at the forefront, and she's making her way right the way towards Rebecca Morel. That's the situation on the tyre wear, by the way. On the softs, 7 laps, 45% wear already, which actually doesn't look that bad on a face value, but when at the end of the day, compared to the likes of the mediums and the hard tyres you've already passed, multiple cliffs, it feels like, the actual disparity between the two of them cannot be understated. It absolutely cannot be, as they actually get a decent exit out, but Farah Zorgri surely has an easy position for the taking.
That would be my assumption as well as they run towards Spoon Corner. I'm just going to switch across, though, to keep an eye on Emma Clay now well and truly back within DRS range of Speed Queen Rebecca Morel as they charge down towards 130R and the final few corners on this circuit, the Casio Triangle. It's a circuit that seems to come at you rather thick and fast, but keep an eye on Clay now, well and truly in the wheel tracks of our pole sitter and current race leader. And after 7 laps, we could start to see that disputed dives into the pits, though. Does Speed Queen 7 laps completed on a set of the softer tyres, and now Clay leads P1 up from P3.
Very good stuff. We'll see what Rebecca Morel chooses in terms of the tyres, though. Do they go straight onto the hard compound tyres? It almost wouldn't surprise me, and I am not surprised. In fact, white banded striped hard compound tyres go onto the White Bull, and I would imagine, given the tyre wear that we saw on at least Miss Nutrix's graphic, that's a tongue twister, as almost into the path of Martine Smith. Enough space left by the Williams car, and on Rebecca Morel will carry. Given the tyre wear, I'm not surprised really, though. The hard tyres should, in theory, be able to make it to the end of the race, but the offset that the likes of Emma Clay will have, could that just be a bit too much to handle?
Going to be an interesting one. Our drivers will have to manage their tyres, but look at the disparity between Willow Keeble and Emma Clay. Over 2 seconds now. Clay has been released and well and truly taken that opportunity to try and charge on forward. She started on the second row, and now with clean air in front of her, I have a feeling there could be no stopping Clay here on the run down towards 130R. We'll keep an eye on that gap between Clay and Keeble, but again, a driver in her own right that has been absolutely superb last week through chaos and calamity that saw her go tumbling down the order. This time, I think this is going to be one heck of a redemption drive, Carl.
You'd be right to assume it, absolutely. 2.1 seconds, quickly just reduced to 2.0, but Lee Woodward, the person on a mission, down the inside at Casio Triangle, still remains side by side. Was behind the detection zone, though, and that will be an academic move for the championship leader, who's already recovered to P3. Despite that start, despite dropping to 12th, it has been a masterclass in overtaking from Lee Woodward.
This will be interesting if we get to the end of the race. Lap 26, 27, and Sharkstorm's off the back of Clay, maybe off the back of Speed Queen by just a couple of seconds. We'll know exactly what the cause of that situation is going to be. It was that poor race start that we saw from the Papaya outfit, and one that I think is going to have nightmares about for races and weekends to come is Woodward. But for the time being, Melissa getting the first Degner, all kinds of wrong. Gravel on the tyres, but fortunately does keep the car pointing in the correct direction. I see a battle further behind. Zorgri trying to get the better of Nutrix still, who is running the softer tyres through the hairpin corner. They go. The Aston Martin watches out wide. Zorgri now tries to go around the long right-hander, equivalent to what would be Curva Grande, roughly in Monza. Taking the incredible outside line is Zorgri, but the Tiger line itself, Zorgri goes storming through to P5.
Excellent stuff. Bravery once again beyond the Call of Duty. Just had to keep her foot in, and absolutely she did. That's P5 on the road. Miss Nutrix, credit where credit is due, defended very well to keep Farah Zorgri behind for as long as they did. But it is the Mercedes that will be released, although it will be DRS for the Aston Martin, depending on the chicane and depending on pit lane stipulations. Might not be done yet.
Absolutely not. Let's keep an eye on Nutrix. Diving into pits does go Farah Zorgri. Interesting off the set of the medium tyres where we've got soft tyre runners still opting to keep these ones alive. Jess Ball further behind in 6th place would get the benefit of DRS in towards the first corner, but I don't think they were quite close enough on that detection point and the entry in towards the Casio Triangle. There's a good old scrap going on for 10th place at the moment with Carlotta Marchi, but just ahead of Catherine Omerod, Charlotte Perkins as well. Two drivers that have previously pitted. The Ferrari now tries to challenge them down towards the first corner. Could we see 3 wide? That was almost 4 wide as Farah Zorgri comes storming out of the pits. Perkins has to try and sit behind the Alpine, or does she as he looks to the inside line? The Alpine has to take the outside in towards the S as they go. Perkins goes through after not 1 but 2 positions made in just as many corners. Fantastic comeback drive for the Sauber here. She got the wing repaired and now she's on a charge.
Phenomenal move from Charlotte Perkins, and absolutely right. On down the road she goes, absolutely flying. Carlotta now on the back. Farah Zorgri peels out the pit lane, manages to clear the Ferrari. So good stint there from Farah Zorgri. Like you say though, surprised the Miss Nutrix has stayed out for an extra lap, maybe wants to go soft medium, which would be very bold indeed. But now it falls to the Mercedes Maestro to try and overthrow the Alpine Ace. And on hard compound tyres versus soft compound tyres, it's not even a competition. Through goes Farah Zorgri. It's academic as you like. And now the chase for P8 is on.
Absolutely is, almost confirming the 2-stop strategy here for Zorgri this afternoon, opting for mediums on towards soft. Unless we're going to hear the tyre whisperer come out of retirement this afternoon, that is almost guaranteed to be a 2-stop strategy. Melissa Muller peeling into pit road, then fresh set of tyres going on towards that car. Hard tyres it is going to be indeed, as well as Willow Keeble, who's coming up towards the end of pit road. Now yellow flags flying. I think Heather's had a bit of an issue there at hairpin. Kept all the parts of the car though, that's the important thing to note. It's a little bit of spin, a little bit of knocks the confidence, but nothing a safety car can't come back from.
No damage, just emotional. Gap at the front meanwhile, 4.3 seconds between Emma Clay and Sharkstorm, who cumulatively has actually made up quite a lot of a gap. It was 6 seconds a couple of laps ago, now down to 4.2. However, a more interesting development, Willow Keeble is out ahead of Rebecca Morel.
That is interesting to note here. The overcut by 3 laps working to the favour of Willow Keeble at the moment. Went from mediums to hards versus the softs to hards that Speed Queen Rebecca Morel has opted for in this strategy in the Alpine. You know how much clean air can help your race. At the moment, it's Willow Keeble that is paying the benefit of that situation. Zorgri gets past Melissa in towards the hairpin. Fantastic drive. And once again proving those soft tyres are fired up, as is the driver in the cockpit. And the positions being made hand over fist.
Setting the timing sheets ablaze and absolutely igniting the charge for the Mercedes team as our race leader Emma Clay locks up the front tyres gratuitously into the pit lane. No more drama than that though. It will be what we assume to be hard compound tyres, unless there is a delve into insanity. And luckily, it is hard compound tyres. Emma Clay, cool and composed. And where do they emerge? In the context of this race, Willow Keeble, out of that final curve, the pit limiter goes off the Aston Martin. It should be a slot back into provisional P1, and it will be provisional P1 for Emma Clay.
Question is now, can Clay get those tyres fired up to a temperature and to a working range that we have seen Keeble and Morel do over the last few laps or so? And you can see Keeble continuing to close in by the barest of margins every single corner, just whilst the Aston Martin gets the tyres up to temperature. I think they have started to even out now, roughly 5.5 tenths back from Clay, and they continue to run through the order, but they can now benefit from DRS from one another. That's the all-important thing to try and keep an eye on here. And now the battle up at the front. Let's keep an eye on the race story, though. Front three, Woodward, Ball and Neutrix all have yet to pit. Everybody else has done their mandatory one-stop strategy, albeit with the exception of Martine Smith in the Williams Teeny, as she's on the timing board, has gone medium, so definitely locking herself in to the two-stop strategy, Carl.
My goat Williams right there. Absolutely. Don't follow the competition. Just do it your way and do it well. Absolutely love it. Emma Clay then, provisional leader. The question I do have to ask, though, and it's probably the one that everybody's asking, is what on earth happened to Rebecca Morel? 3 laps worth of an undercut. She should have had provisional lead of the race, signed, sealed and delivered. Yet she finds herself, despite the tyre advantage for those 3 laps, behind 2 drivers on the older mediums. As a 10-second time penalty for Miss Neutrix on the older softs. She's taken them 13 laps. That is mightily impressive, but there is a penalty. The stormy cloud of the stewards over her head.
Absolutely not exactly the way you like to see this race go out, but you were absolutely right in calling the strategy here, Carl, opting for what could be the one-stop strategy, soft to medium tyres for Team Aston Martin here this afternoon. Unless we see a safety car, we may not see that 10-second penalty being able to be worked off slightly later in the race. That leaves 2 drivers then still to do their mandatory pit stop here in Suzuka. Woodward and Ball 1 and 2 at the moment, with 7 seconds up the road from this group at the moment. Clay, Morel and Perkins as well. No, my apologies. Clay, Keeble and Morel here in this group. 3rd through 5th. Perkins 4.5 seconds just off the back. And the opportunity to win race number 2 still hanging in the balance for not 1, not 2, not 3 or 4, but 5 of our drivers here, Carl.
Absolutely. This is the action you all arrived for, ladies and gentlemen. By the way, loads of you watching on Twitch across both platforms, Twitch and YouTube. Thank you very, very much indeed for all the support, as Rebecca Morel has the opportunity out of Spoon Curve. Willow Keeble drops the ball briefly, but it will be as far as Zorgui retires. Zorgui's out. That's a safety car. The leader's going to pass it, and what an opportunity that opens up for those who just stayed out that little bit longer.
Wow, this really opens up the opportunity. Jess Ball, the first of the drivers to be able to drive into pit road. Started on the mediums. We're not quite in the territory yet to be able to take the softs, unless we're going to do a very similar situation to what we saw Miss Neutrix do, take the soft tyres. 13 laps, no hard tyres going on to that Red Bull racing car, and they will peel out of the pit road, losing significantly less time than if they were to do that green flag pit stop. Lots of other cars peeling into pit road as well. Can Ball beat out the Alpine? Just about. Catherine Omerod will have to settle for 5th place on the circuit at the moment. We've got the likes of Keeble, Perkins, Melissa all in the pits as well. Interesting enough here, Carl, Miss Neutrix opting to stay out and not serve that 10-second penalty that's hanging over her head.
Very interesting indeed. Jessica Ball also played inadvertently an absolute masterstroke, because not only did she not lose much time due to the safety car, but everybody else pitting, she finds herself in P4 now. So an immaculate unfolding of the race for the Red Bull driver. Absolutely excellent. The question is, what will the gap look like between Lee Woodward and Emma Clay? We'll see where they emerge in the context of this race, and if they actually have the gap due to that reduced speed, due to that delta, just helping them out a little bit. We shall soon find out.
Massive shout out to Lucas Blakely as well in the Twitch. Thank you so much for the raid. Welcome in, everybody. You join us on lap 14 of 27 here for round 2 of the W1 Sim Series. and one that has just caused a safety car. For Farah Zorghi having a little whoopsie and finding her car in the barrier, and now safety car has been deployed. For the first time in this race, I just want to say that out loud, as Lee Woodward peels into pit road. Can Emma Clay try and close down that gap? You are well and truly in for some fantastic racing. Just over half race distance to go. Still half left to run in this race. Emma Clay from Rebecca Morel from Jess Ball as well, who's had her race somewhat saved by this safety car here, Carl, up to 4th place after her stop.
Absolutely. Why can't we have that camera angle through the Casio triangle more? That's an absolutely immaculate camera angle. Let's have that more, please. Inadvertent race director. But through goes Rebecca Morel and through goes Emma Clay. By extension, Lee Woodward will have to settle for P3. But crucially, and more to the point, as you can probably imagine, fresh tyres and also medium compound tyres. After the start that they've had, what a story this could be.
It absolutely is. Miss Nutrix finally peels into pit road to serve off that 10-second penalty hanging over her head for Team Aston Martin. I do wonder if they go maybe one extra lap and then going on to a new set of soft tyres to see this race out. I'll try and get you confirmation of that in any particular moment, just to keep an eye on the tyres on your screen. This is how our drivers hold up, and there we go, soft tyres going on to the Aston Martin of Miss Nutrix. And again, split decisions for all of our drivers. We've got most of them rocking the hard tyres. It's Lee Woodward that opts for the medium tyres after their earlier pit stop. Nutrix opting for the softs, and Carlotta Marchi as well, also in pit road at the moment. We'll be getting on a fresh set of boots. What will that be? The question's up for the Scuderia Ferrari team. Are we going to see a Ferrari strategy? No, that's going to be a medium set of tyres for Carlotta Marchi. But Carl, I'm just thinking out loud here. We've got a car that is lapped at the moment. That is going to be Melanie Janda. She's only 2 cars behind the safety car. Now, I don't know if any of the drivers are watching. I mean, if you fancy a little excursion off the road just to let Melanie through, that could pay her a lot of help in this race.
That could, absolutely. And it would be, in my opinion, the right thing to do. Absolutely. And not to be cynical, but Emma Clay and Rebecca Morel might not want to let the Ferrari through. The best will in the world. Because that's the blockade between Lee Woodward and themselves. That's at least 1 lap and a little bit of track position that McLaren does have to make up. So while it would be the sporting thing to do, I will be cynical and say they might not have all the intention in the world of letting her just.
No, not quite at the moment. We'll keep an eye though and just see if anything does emerge. We are still, of course, waiting for all of our drivers just to bunch up, wait for the rest of the field to come collectively in towards the back of the pack. Top 7 at the moment, standing just behind Bert Mylander. We've got Melissa just coming through the Casio triangle at the moment, followed by Miss Nutrix. Of course, we've got Teeny, also known as Martine Smith. Heather and Carlotta Marchi will rear up the rear end of this field. Of course, Melanie Janda, unfortunately, caught somewhat in the mix of the pack. Just an unfortunate time to pit, I think, probably, Carl. If they got maybe 1 lap later, they could have avoided just getting lapped by the likes of Clay and Morel.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more with you. Lee Woodward almost travels into the back of the Ferrari for a brief moment, and that would have been, well, story cut firmly very short. Luckily, though, Lee Woodward still very much with the car intact and still at the moment in P3. Miss Nutrix making their way to the back of this pack on yet another set of soft tyres. My goat Williams is almost there as well, and I don't want to sound predictable, but you have to feel like fresh medium tyres, significantly younger tyres. Lee Woodward should have this, in theory, in the bag, but track position does go a long way in F1 25.
It absolutely does. Sometimes track position is the overriding factor that can determine how your race is going to go. We will see that call from the safety car come roughly just before we approach 130R. Of course, we jump back up towards our race leader. I clicked the wrong button there. Emma Clay, number 79. Running through towards Spoon Curve at the moment. Started down from 3rd place, remember everybody at home, and now finds herself in 1st place. Rebecca Morel, our pole sitter, not once but twice in a row here in W1. Started and dropped down to 2nd place, but all is still to play for in the final, what will be 12 laps of racing here in Suzuka for the Japanese Grand Prix, round number 2 of W1 Sim Series. And of course, we've still got 8 more rounds of racing after this one concludes. There is a lot of action to come here, Carl.
You are absolutely correct there. Safety car remains on track for at least another lap, while the Mercedes and the Ferrari make their way through. Carlotta and Heather just making their way to the back of this very hungry Caterpillar for victory. Emma Clay is going to want Rebecca Morel to have the widest Red Bull, or White Bull in this case, that she can possibly have. Lee Woodward is going to be absolutely insane in terms of the pace that they have. And as much as they might want to keep that Ferrari behind, whether they know that they could let the Ferrari through or not is another matter. But they've got to hope that at least some damage is done. Because at the moment, those mediums look rather ominous. That's all I'll say.
They certainly do indeed. We'll have a reminder for everybody at home at how the tyre situation looks amongst the field. Everybody bar 3 drivers opting for the hard tyres. And worth noting, the likes of Speed Queen, Rebecca Morel, Catherine Omerod have got at least 8 laps on their tyres. Emma Clay's on 5-lap-old hard tyres as it stands at the moment. I think obviously when they pit, they must have put on older hard tyres. But unfortunately, oh no, maybe not. I might be chatting absolute waffle here at the moment. They didn't pit again. My absolute apologies, everybody at home. But Shark Somley Woodward, of course, on the medium tyres up in 3rd place, as well as Carlotta Marchi down in 11th. Miss Nutrix being, well, the head among the pigeons in 9th place, opting for the soft tyres.
Well. Keep a close eye on Miss Nutrix once again. Not necessarily because the tyres will be hurting, but because she'll be cutting through the field like cake come the safety car restart, which should happen at the end of this lap. History to be made once again in W1 Sim Series. Here's one of our drivers of the race so far. Jessica Bull has gone rather understated, kept it quiet, but kept it calm. The race has come back to her from 10th place. She's now up to 4th. And that could open up so many opportunities. But will we see a first winner of W1 Sim Series? Or will it be a repeat fixture? Once this safety car peels in, we're about to find out.
We absolutely will. When we cross that timing beam, race control will or should notify us. There we go. Safety car is in this lap. Let's keep an eye on the live speed from Emma Clay, our race leader at the moment, as she crawls to somewhat of a halt to allow Bert Mylander time to get his safety car back in towards pit road. And you can see there just the disparity between the safety car peeling away through the Casio Triangle. And now all 13 of our drivers that are left in this race. It's Emma Clay that determines when she's going to go and puts her foot down right at the exit of the Casio Triangle. That's an amazing launch from Emma Clay down towards the first corner. Not only has she left Speed Queen for broke, she's left Shark Storm for broke. And that's going to be the lapped car of Melanie Jander getting involved. I think slowing down the rest of the field. It's now a 2-horse race up in front. 2 seconds is the gap back to Lee Woodward. Clay has got the opportunity of a lifetime to run away here.
Well, I said the lap car will be an obstruction. I didn't realise how much of an obstruction they would be. That is calamity for Lee Woodward, who didn't even have a whiff at trying to take the lead of the race as the Ferrari phases through the competition. And that will be a plummeting and sinking feeling all the way through. Emma Clay, though, I was going to say, went super early, but just wanted to get those hard tyres, I suspect, up to temperature as quickly as possible, because those mediums are already fired up. Lee Woodward has the confidence and is already munching away at the gap in front.
They absolutely are. You can see the confidence in the tyres. The hard tyres not necessarily up to temperature quite yet, using all of the track available to them, including some of the grass on the right-hand side as that Papaya McLaren, they run down towards Spoon Curve, keeping on the throttle and brake inputs, and they are so confident on this set of tyres already. The dirty air barely affecting them on the run down towards 130, but they're now 2 seconds to the better of Jess Bull. It's now a 3-horse race with just over 9 laps to go.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, 2/3 of the race gone. Emma Clay, our race leader for the moment, and if you're in her position, what do? Do you try and build the gap, or, if I'm probably Emma Clay, I try and keep Rebecca Morel in DRS to try and make sure that Lee Woodward, who sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:30.8 on the fresh mediums, that's surely another fastest lap point heading the way of the McLaren driver. But surely you keep Rebecca Morel in DRS as Charlotte Perkins is on a mission as well. A road to recovery that sees her up to P6, has not shied away from any manoeuvre this race. It's been one absolute corker from Charlotte Perkins.
It certainly has been indeed, and certainly one of those what-if stories if she hadn't have got that wing damage slightly earlier on in the race when I think she went for the most optimistic of moves on her driver in front, just ran into the rear of Clay, I believe, if memory serves me correctly. But again, starting to set times lap after lap after lap, just some disparity, some information for you all. Lee Woodward, 1.2 seconds quicker last time out than Emma Clay. 1.2 seconds quicker was the Papaya McLaren. They are absolutely on rails here in Suzuka.
Well, 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 ladies and gentlemen, 2/3 of the race gone. Emma Clay, our race leader for the moment, and if you're in her position, what do? Do you try and build the gap, or, if I'm probably Emma Clay, I try and keep Rebecca Morel in DRS to try and make sure that Lee Woodward, who sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:30.8 on the fresh mediums, that's surely another fastest lap point heading the way of the McLaren driver. But surely you keep Rebecca Morel in DRS to try and make sure that Lee Woodward, who sets the fastest lap of the race, a 1:30.8 on the fresh mediums, that's surely another fastest lap point heading the way of the McLaren driver. and potentially eyeing up a move into Spoon Curve. A little bit too far back on that occasion, but looming large in the mirrors of the Red Bull driver. It will be some burning of the battery. They want to preserve it as much as they can, though. The Casio triangle will open up for them, and hopefully with the traction, the superior slingshot that they will have, it could be a great move with DRS, but they've got to make it count. Or do they go for a dive? The answer is no. Rebecca Morel just throws up. The defensive shape, but Heather's out of this Japanese Grand Prix. We have another safety car here.
Well, into the pits immediately. Speed Queen, Rebecca Morel opting for a fresh set of tyres. 12-lap old hard tyres, certainly not the play it would seem. But oh my goodness, go spinning around. Charlotte Perkins is out. What has happened on the start-finish straight? My goodness, I don't think I've seen a crash like that in many, many years. The Kicksabber goes flying around, and I'm sure we'll be able to have a look at that in just a brief moment. But not one, but two drivers out, and a safety car is out.
My jaws just hit the floor. That was the least. I genuinely had no expectation. Charlotte Perkins spontaneously combusts out of this race. We'll see it again. Maybe even lackadaisical as they were heading down the straight. Runs into the rear of Lee Woodward. Just completely caught unawares. Their teammate involved, both Alpines in the wars. What a moment of drama as we head on to lap number 20. My goodness.
I don't think I've seen a crash like that in a very, very long time. I'd be impressed. Again, very lucky for Lee Woodward here that damage is only set, I believe, to reduced. Otherwise, they'd have very considerable rear wing, if not under tray damage. The whole works to go along with it. They've got a little bit of underbody damage, a little bit of floor damage on that McLaren. It will affect them going through, but thankfully nothing more major than that here, Carl. Because that was, I don't want to put it lightly, that was a massive impact.
That was Charlotte Perkins, the cruise missile there. Wasn't exactly probably the intent she was going for, but it is definitely what happened. A little bit of underbody damage, excuse me, for the McLaren driver. That makes it rather interesting. I imagine the mediums still should have the overall pace, and now with only one car between themselves and the lead of the race, Rebecca Morel, by the way, down to P10. Even with those fresh tyres, it is a long, long way back to the top for the Speed Queen. But never say never. That's the main thing.
Never say never indeed. And this is going to be an interesting drive from Rebecca Morel, opting for a brand new set of soft tyres when we go racing with surely 6 or 7 laps to go in this Grand Prix. I could already hear people typing in the chat. No, stop it. Don't do that. As we watch Emma Clay, our race leader, rounds the final quarter. At least one more lap of safety car, Carl.
At least one more lap. She'd rather be hoping that we got racing because she wants Lee Woodward's tyres to fall off a cliff as quickly as possible. Not going to happen for the moment. Both Alpines into pit row. Both with damage on the front wing, courtesy of that absolute explosion on the start-finish straight. Just a lap ago, and it will be the painful double stack. Equally, though, less painful is they will have fresh, soft compound tyres. They now are in the same boat that Rebecca Morel is in, and it's going to be a three-way charge to the front of the field.
It absolutely is. A horrible stop there from Keeble as they peel out of pit road, and one that will well and truly see them to the back of the order on the run down towards turn number 1. Thankfully, a pit stop under safety car so they can catch back up to the rest of the pack. But let's look to the front once again. Clay from Woodward from Ball is your top 3. Muller Nutrix is your top 5. With, of course, Martine Smith stood in 6th place. Carlotta Marchi up to 7th place with Speed Queen by name, Speed Queen by nature, Rebecca Morel in 8th place. Catherine Emerald and Willow Keeble, after their earlier pit stop, stand in 9th and 10th. And Melanie Jan, of course, still lapped, unfortunately caught in amongst by her teammate Carlotta. You can see just there as they head through the hairpin corner, will be down in 11th place. But, Carl, I want to hear your thoughts, hear your feelings. We're going to get racing with, 6 laps to go in this Grand Prix. Are your predictions changed from the start of the race? Are we still maybe banking on Clay to get the victory here tonight?
I'll still back Clay, but I'm not going to count anything out. You've got Lee Woodward on the mediums, but then you've got Miss Nutrix, whose softs aren't really that old, who's now up to P5. You've got Rebecca Morel on fresh soft, both Alpines on fresh soft, who will be on the back of the queue. They're no slouch either. So despite everything and all the confidence I have in Emma Clay, you could throw 5, 6 names once again into the ring for the race win at round number 2. It's absolutely crazy. Safety car still not peeling into the pit lane. It's going to be, it could be a very, very late call here. Either that or it stays out. There's your very late call indeed. And Emma Clay's going to have to back this right up.
She absolutely is, although Bert Mylander well and truly into the pits, and there she goes indeed. Emma Clay puts the hammer down. 1, 2, 3 cars following suit. Melissa Muller getting slightly caught out on the restart there as we see Emma Clay still leading from Woodward from Bull. The front three now have an opportunity to try and pull away. Further back, Willow Keeble immediately on the attack of her teammate round the outside of the first corner. Keeble means business now.
Absolutely. No holds barred move from Willow Keeble, not feeble in the slightest. It's Speed Queen trying to make their way past Carlotta in the Ferrari. The soft compound tyres have so much more surplus of grip, but they get caught on the back of the Ferrari. That opens the door for Willow Keeble, but it's not going to happen. The gap's just closed too quickly. It's the inside of Degner 1. That's Brave. That's Carlotta in the gravel. And that's 3 places lost in the space of just a couple of seconds.
Absolutely is. Morel, though, not wasting any time. Immediately past the Williams and Martine Smith. Here comes Willow Keeble as well. Following on suit, those soft tyres firing up at the drop of a pin. But now they've got 2.5 seconds up towards Miss Nutrix. Of course, more soft tyres in and amongst this mix. Nutrix at the moment on 7-lap-old soft tyres. But let's throw attention up towards the lead of this race then as we head towards lap 23 of 27. 5 laps to go. Clay and Woodward starting to make a name for themselves here as they pull away down towards the Castillo Triangle. 1.2 seconds back to Jessica Ball and Melissa Muller, but this is going to be the battle that I can see going until the end of the race.
Emma Clay trying to park it on the apex, stop Lee Woodward getting a run, but they've got a decent run through towards the start-finish line. Lap number 23, breaking the toe again, is Emma Clay, and they will preserve the race lead and fight for another day. But this is going to be crucial now as onto the curbs goes Lee Woodward. Through goes Willow Keeble, though. Not even with DRS, but just with sheer slipstream and brute force. Through goes the Alpine driver, and they need to make headway. Very quick smart indeed.
They certainly do, and they've managed to get past probably their closest rival on the circuit at the moment in terms of tyre life. That is, of course, Rebecca Morel and Willow Keeble both pitting on the same lap, both onto similar aged tyres, as well as Catherine Omerod, who still sits in 8th place. Rebecca Morel, though, not giving up by the barest of margin. You can see just less than 0.2 of a second behind that Alpine and wishing to try and follow on through as they try and chase down this pack in front of them, which contains Melissa and Miss Nutrix, and then slightly further up the road, Jess Ball, Lee Woodward, and our race leader at the moment, Emma Clay, who's back for a vengeance after a subpar performance in Australia when we were down under. But keep an eye here, DRS will be enabled this time around as we run down towards turn 1. Is it going to be the way of Lee Woodward?
Emma Clay can't afford to be put into an ERS game, but it's almost resistance is futile. The grip of the medium tyres is so much more significant, although down to 30% goes Lee Woodward. How much does Emma Clay have? Unfortunately, we don't know. For her sake, hopefully it's enough to defend from the onslaught that is this charging McLaren, the Papaya Pro, with DRS wide open, deploying the battery, and Emma Clay looks to have enough, throws the defensive shape again. Lee Woodward down the inside, shows the nose and gets chopped at the second part of the corner. Just a little bit too far behind on that occasion, but the momentum is building.
It absolutely is. The tides are turning. Can you feel it, everybody? We're starting to get tense in the final few laps of this race. Multiple battles setting themselves up in and amongst this field. You can see the likes of Willow Keeble as well, who's managed to gain a 1.5 seconds on Miss Nutrix over the course of that lap alone. But she's still got Rebecca Morel, Speed Queen, for company as they head through the second Degner towards the hairpin. Keeble, though, 3-second penalty for the extension of track limits. That's going to be a heartbreaking end to what could have been a monstrous charge through this field. And now she's got a question to decide. Does she continue to try and push on, retake what would have been those 3 seconds of penalties, or does she release her foe in the competition, Speed Queen, to maybe try and attack further forward? Sharkstorm as well, with a 3-second penalty for track limit violations. Surely now this hands the race into the favour of Clay.
Surely Emma Clay can breathe a sigh of relief now. It was just reaching fever pitch. The tempo of this race was reaching an absolutely unparalleled rate. Emma Clay, though, can just relax the pressure off her shoulders a little bit more. It's Melissa Muller. That could be the woman on the move. DRS wide open behind Jessica Ball. How much battery do they have to deploy? How much straight line speed do they have to surge past the Red Bull? into turn number 1. Rebecca Morel goes past Willow Keeble as well. But it's all kicking off now here in Suzuka.
It absolutely is. 25, 26, 27. 3 laps to go here in Japan. And it is anybody's guess which way this is going to go. Could it be Woodward? Can they try and pull away with that 3-second penalty to the name? Or has Clay done enough on 13-lap-old hard tyres compared to the 10-lap-old mediums on the car of the Papaya McLaren? It's all a question that will be answered in 2.5 laps' time. Let us know in the live chat, whether you're watching on Twitch, whether you're watching on YouTube, who you think is going to win this race here this afternoon. Get your predictions in that live chat. We want to see them. We want to hear them as we close off this Grand Prix, Carl.
Rebecca Morel just showed the nose to the inside. Lee Woodward not giving up without a fight. They still want the race win on the track, but it is the Speed Queen. Shows the nose again to the inside, but it's Miss Nutrix putting up a delightful defence once again on the older tyres, perhaps with one arm tied behind their back. They're still fighting fiercely here with nearly 2 tours to go.
They absolutely are. Keep an eye though on the battery for Speed Queen, down to 6%. They're continuing to drain through it. They've not got much saved in the reserves to the final 2 laps of racing here. Melissa Muller now within a second, or teetering across that border of 1 second to Sharkstorm in front, who has got DRS on our race leader Emma Clay. Which way are they going to go? Looks to the right, looks to the left, can't quite get the speed. Oh, into the back of the Aston Martin, misjudges it at the final time of asking, and that front wing hampering their race after the 3 second that was handed to them moments ago. Sharkstorm's day has gone from bad to worse.
One too many overwhelming overspeeds. Regardless what a story it's been for the Sharkstorm. From the start there was P12, was round the outside goes Rebecca Morel. Willow Keeble getting involved once again. Turns defence into attack. It's a switch back at the end of the S's section. That's a marvellous manoeuvre from the Speed Queen. Has now got their teammate in their crosshairs. Loads of drivers going wide at Degner too. We said it, didn't we? We said collectively Degners were going to be a problem, Spoon Curve was going to be a problem, and both penalties accrued at those sets of corners.
They absolutely are. It's so easy just to stick all 4 tyres over the white line, and you can feel the consequences. But all eyes surely have to go to Melissa Muller at the moment, who is continuing to chase down our race leader, chase down our driver that stands in first place, Emma Clay, with just under a second worth of relief back to Sharkstorm, who has that 3-second penalty. And then it's Melissa Muller, the Kick Sauber driver, who didn't have the best start to this race, started down in 8th place, but it's been consistently consistent over the course of 26 laps so far. We enter onto the final lap of racing. White flag shown here, Carl. Will it be Clay? Will it be Muller? Will Sharkstorm somehow come up with a genius move? It is all going to be decided over the next lap of racing.
Absolutely. Lee Woodward will be ailing with that front wing damage, though. Regardless, we highlight Emma Clay, Melissa Muller darting left and right and trying to serve the good night, but Lee Woodward holds firm. But what a drive from Emma Clay. Did everything they needed to do. Once they took the lead, they made that overcut work. They've looked imperious in race pace, and it is everything they deserve and more. They look to be undoubtedly our second winner of W1 Sim Series. A credit to them. Maybe controversy will spark up, maybe there'll be conversation over that turn 1 incident, but regardless, she's done everything she's needed to do with 1.5 seconds worth of a cushion now. Surely we are the prediction princes, and surely it will be a deserving race win.
It certainly will be indeed. Emma Clay gone from 3rd place up to 1st and looked controlling ever since she's had the grasps on the lead of this Grand Prix. Lee Woodward now over 1.5 seconds behind with Melissa Muller in tow, but I think it is going to be too little too late in this situation. 27 tours of the Suzuka circuit have been accomplished. Emma Clay, well, Clay by nature, she's been put through the furnace here this afternoon, and she's come out as an absolutely stunning piece of pottery as he comes through the Casio Triangle for one final time. Take a bow, Aston Martin. Take a bow, Emma Clay, as she wins the Japanese Grand Prix for round number 2 of the W1 Series. Absolutely fantastic result for Emma.
Lays the foundations for furious success, and she's got it. Emma Clay, P3 on the grid, imperious in race trim, P1 on the road, Melissa Muller in P2, and Jessica Ball takes home P3. What a story. From P10 on the grid, there's so many stories we could divulge, but my goodness me, What a race from absolutely everybody. It was blockbuster action in Melbourne, and it is scintillating in Suzuka. Just Melanie Jander to cross the line, to round out our finishing order. But once again, it is the woman of the moment. Emma Clay is our second ever race winner in league trim.
Absolutely fantastic stuff. We'll get the podium celebrations in a moment, and a well-deserved podium celebration for our drivers. What a race we've seen, and quite possibly a race that had everything. 2 British drivers and a German driver up amongst our podium. But Aston Martin take all of the crowns here this afternoon, and one that I think will be very, very proud for her indeed. A race win here in W1 to kick off what could be many more in the season as the champagne flies here in Japan.
This is what we expected to see, I feel. I expected to see Emma Clay up on the rostrum in the first race. Just didn't quite work out, but absolutely deserved. There's all your accolades. Cleanest driver for Jessica Ball. Driver of the day for the game goes to Melissa Muller. Fastest lap to Willow Keeble. And also the most overtakes for Jessica Ball. But there can only be one that takes the race win. Emma Clay is our second ever race winner in W1 Sim Series. Melissa Muller in P2. Jessica Ball with a podium with Rebecca Morell recovering to P4. Lee Woodward, P5, with all kinds of conundrums at the end. Miss Nutrix, P6, with both Alpines. Catherine Ormerod leading the line in 7th and 8th. Martine Smith in 9th, and Carlotta rounds out the top 10. Melanie Jander, the last of the finishing order, with Charlotte Perkins, Heather, and Farah Zorgui, all not seeing the checkered flag.
An unfortunate race to end for our drivers, but certainly one that will write the history books here in W1. A race that had quite literally a bit of everything. We had chaos, calamity, no rain though. We haven't yet to see that here in the W1 Sim Series. Maybe next week. Probably not though, with us heading to Bahrain. But of course, it comes that time where we do get an opportunity to chat to our drivers, Carl. Obviously, our top 3, and what a fantastic that race had been. Hopefully, we'll get at least 1 or 2, and I know a couple of drivers don't like coming in for interviews, which is absolutely fine, because they are far from mandatory for all of our drivers.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Well, I mean, hopefully we get to speak to the race winner. I mean, real question is, just how? I know Lee Woodward had the underbody damage, but you just got to ask the question, how on earth? Yes, the track position is good. Yes, having the clean air to your advantage does do you a world of favours. But those medium tyres looked ferocious. So all credit to Emma Clay, an absolutely superb defensive.
Absolutely. One of the drives that I'm sure will go down in the history books of not only W1 but league racing as a whole as well. And of course, hopefully we have got 1 or 2 of them in to have a quick chat as I just close down F1 25, because otherwise that is a bit of a resource hog in the background. And I'm so glad to announce that we do indeed have not 1 but 2 drivers in for a bit of a chat. Now, Carl, I give you the option. Do we start with P3, Jess Ball, or do we start with our race winner, Emma Clay?
You know what? Let's speak to our race winner. Let's get her thoughts and views.
Let's do it. Let's try and drag in Emma Clay if I can get the button working correctly. I've really messed this up because I've got the screen on the wrong thing. Give me 2 seconds, everybody. There we go. I've managed to pull across Emma Clay, race winner in W1 after what was a very, very commanding drive. Emma, that must feel good, surely.
Absolutely. I just don't really know what's going on right now.
Obviously, you started down in P3. Wasn't necessarily, I think, your finest qualifying after down in Australia. Had a couple of moments that maybe put you down. But a race today, professional from the very start. Didn't decide to pit, though, under that final safety car. Was there a call in that? Were you just determined to keep track position?
Yeah, absolutely. The track position was paramount here because I know it's very hard to overtake in Suzuka. I did think about pitting, but I just didn't think it was worth it. So, yeah.
Yeah, Carl, I'll give you any questions for our race winner here.
Sure thing. Emma, firstly, massive congratulations. That was an absolutely brilliant drive from yourself. To that last stint of the race, really, because obviously Lee Woodward was meteorically quick on the medium. But was there anything changed your side? Because your defence was absolutely excellent. Was there anything you changed in terms of prioritising certain exits with the knowledge it was that much different?
Yeah, I mean, I basically just drove the same as I drove at the beginning of the race. It's just I knew my wings were quite low, so down the straights, I think I could have defended quite well. And just keeping it clean, giving Lee room, especially when we came together in turn 1. That was a bit of an interesting. I don't know really what happened there. But yeah, I mean, just managing throughout and just trying to stay in front, really.
Amazing stuff. And Emma, obviously, your first win in the W1 in our season proper. Does that help the confidence heading into the next 8 rounds or so, especially as you've now got that taste of victory?
Yeah, it really does. Like, I didn't think I was going to be anywhere around this track. I mean, qualifying was a bit of an interesting one. I lost my force feedback going into my first run and obviously crashed into the wall. So that was great. But in the race, I just tried to, just do my strategy, see what played out, and luckily it went into my hands.
Absolutely. And obviously, just one final thing before we let you go, just looking ahead to Bahrain next time out, how's that track kind of sit with you? Good track, bad track, bit of a bogey one for you?
Well, I don't know. Bahrain seems simple, but it is difficult to master, with definitely some interesting braking zones there. It'll be... I haven't actually practiced that track on this game, so we'll see.
Well, I can only say absolutely best of luck to you. Massive congratulations once again for the victory. One that was definitely hard fought from your end, I'm sure.
Thank you so much, TK.
Thank you so much, Emma. Our race winner, everybody, for round 2 of the W1 series. We'll drop her back to the interview waiting room, as we have got our P3 driver as well. We've got Jessica Ball in for a chat, if I can find the correct button on my stream deck. There we go. Let's get Jess Ball in for a chat, everybody, and see how the race went from P3. Jess, firstly, welcome in. Second of all, congratulations on the podium.
I don't think I was expecting that after having a rubbish qualifying, to be fair, because we got some sweats, but I don't know what to say. I'm still shocked that I'm even in this position, to be honest.
It was an absolutely stellar drive. Started down in P10, of course, stuck to that one-stop strategy all the way through. Was there moments in there where you didn't quite think you were going to be able to stand on that podium at the end?
Well, I did. I think Melissa was catching up to me the whole time. Eventually, she passed me, but I wasn't worried about her at that point. I know my teammate Bex was catching up behind. I'm chatting to her in the Red Bull Discord now, and she said that she could. I think she wished she could have stuck up the inside at 130R, but that's probably what lost her. But I think. It was a shame about her race, but still third and fourth for us was still pretty good. But I was a bit worried at the final safety car restart, to be fair, but we had some quick drivers. But I think after the end of the start of the final lap, I think I knew the podium could have been mine.
Absolutely, and certainly a stellar drive for yourself. Obviously, we saw Rebecca Morel, Speed Queen, was trying to chase you down, couldn't quite get there in the end, even on the softer tyres. Was there anything in retrospect that you might have wanted to change, or was it a good strategy from your point starting down in 10th?
Well, I think the plan anyway, regardless, was going to try and do the one-stop strategy. I was doing a bit of practice earlier on. I think what I had to work on was a bit of my time management, because I think I had about 70% after lap 12 or something when I was doing practice earlier. But whereas I was on 60 in the race, so I think I managed that well. And when that safety car came in, I think I laid the biggest cheer out of me as well. But. It was amazing. I think I said on my stream, I think people would back me up, saying if a safety car came out right about now, I'll be really happy, and then bang, a safety car came out.
Absolutely. Carl, any questions for our podium sitter, Jess?
Absolutely. Firstly, massive congratulations. Well done.
Thank you.
Secondly, next week, Bahrain. How are you feeling?
Not one of my favourite tracks on the game. Again, qualifying is not my strong suit, but again, I proved in Japan that even though I don't get a good qualifying, I could possibly do well in race pace, I think. So I think I'm just going to focus on race trim. I'm still going to focus on quality, but really put all my effort on race trim, because I think me practicing the strategy, I think what helped me get that podium today.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the final thing for me is that, correct me if I'm wrong saying this, but your consistency on race pace seems to be one of your really strong points. Do you think that seems like it could be a really big advantage going through this season, that you're always up there, you're always in the fight?
Obviously, I have that league racing experience, so I know when to pick my battles a little bit. I know when and not to push with my tyres, and not to be too aggressive on the start, which I think works well. I saw quite a few people in front of me were struggling with tyre wear anyway, but again, it comes with experience. There's a lot of people in W1, it's their first ever league racing scene, so they're still getting used to it, and they'll probably get me like no tomorrow. And there's also other drivers that could have been up there, but they got very unlucky today, so I think watch out for them. But it's crazy to think that quite a lot of the grid was just so equally matched on race pace. Next week is just going to be amazing.
Yeah, it absolutely is. Jess, obviously, massive congratulations on the podium here this afternoon, and best of luck not only for next round at Bahrain, but for the rest of the season as well.
Thank you, TK. Thanks, Carl.
Thank you so much, Jess. Everybody, P3 in today's race. Now, Carl, what a race we've just seen in Japan. Obviously, there's got to be maybe some moments of highlights for yourself. Was there one that really stood out for you?
Ooh, one that really stood out for me. Gosh, I mean, you're talking about an ocean of overtakes here that I have to maybe choose from. But I think, you know what, Charlotte, I'll give it to Charlotte Perkins. While she didn't finish the race, while it was a little bit of a calamity. Number one, the spontaneous combustion on the pit straight during the safety car. That was very memorable. But also more memorable than that for me was just the desire to overtake through turn number one. Just stuck it down the inside. Didn't quite have it at the first part, but opted for the narrow line. Kept ahead, made the move stick, and loads of people then followed suit. And that was absolute masterclass of a move.
It certainly was. I think for me, if you're asking about race highlight, it has to be that charge in the final 5 or so laps where we had some drivers on aging tyres, some drivers on brand new soft tyres, some drivers that couldn't quite decide which strategy to go with, but no matter what they chose, it was such a thrilling end to the race, and one that I feel might not be beaten for the rest of the season, but who knows. These ladies have continued to impress us, I think, over the course of both races, and I'm sure will do for the next 8 rounds of the season. Just a reminder, let's see where we are going for the next 8 rounds of the season. We head to Bahrain next time out at the 22nd of January for round number 3. A week after that, we head to Austria and the Styrian Hills for round number 4, before heading to the home of Grand Prix racing for round number 5 on the 5th of February. We then head to Spa-Francorchamps, as Carl said earlier. No further explanation is needed for that circuit for round number 6. And then we head to the Temple of Speed for round number 7 on the 19th of February, before heading over to the Middle East for 2 rounds for Qatar for round 8 on the 26th of February, before our final 2 rounds, both in March. Round 9 takes us to Abu Dhabi. As Carl said, who can remember some thrilling championship finales there? Could it be wrapped up by then? That is anybody's guess. Before we head to what should be the closer of every Formula 1 season, we head to the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pace, which I think is correct, for Brazil in round number 10 on the 12th of March. And who knows, we might see a thrilling championship decider there, Carl.
Absolutely. Couldn't agree more. Jose Carlos Pace, my goat right there, honestly. Yeah, it's a great calendar. We'll reiterate it. We'll say it again and again, but it is a wonderful calendar. Completely different contrast, though. We go to next week, Bahrain, where you have a few more opportunities to send it, more DRS zones by extension, and maybe more openings up of strategy as well. You never know. But whatever the case, whether I'm here for the ride or not, it's going to be a thriller. So I'll best be tuning in.
You absolutely should. If you're not following already over on Twitch, drop us a follow just down below. If you're watching along on YouTube, first of all, hi, welcome in. Nice to have you. Why not drop us a subscribe and drop a like on the video as well. And why not check out all of the socials as well. All the standings will be posted, I believe, on our Instagram, our TikTok, all those social media gubbins. Do drop them a follow. Thank you, Penguin Victoria, for dropping all of the links in the chat. And you can join the Discord as well if you are so inclined to keeping up with all of our drivers over the course of the season. But Mr. Paranik, it's been a pleasure as always to have you in the commentary box. Where can they not find you this week?
Oh, I'll tell you where they can't find me. That's a great question. And that would have to be Latvia.
Oh.
But where you will find me is over at all of these things on social media at my name. If in pretty distinct, probably. TK, I echo much the same sentiment. Absolute pleasure commentating alongside you once again, and a privilege to be here in W1 Sim again. Where can they find you on it?
Well, I'll tell you what, you can check me out at They Call Me TK just below our names there. Drop us a follow, because why not? You might see us back on your screen sooner than you think on Saturday if you follow maybe some Creator Series races. All will be revealed on Saturday when we go live for that. But until we see you next time, 2 rounds down, we've got 8 more rounds to go, and the championship well and truly hotting up. It's been an absolute pleasure for you to join us here this evening. Until next time, good night. God bless.